For as long as humans have walked the earth, we have asked one question: where do we come from? It is a question that echoes through every culture, every civilization, every time in history. Some believed we were shaped by gods, molded from clay, carved from stone, or breathed into existence by a divine hand. Others have searched for answers in bones, fossils, and the silent testimony of ancient rocks. And still the question remains. The story of human creation is not just about the past. It is about who we are today and what it means to be human. If you enjoy uncovering mysteries like this, don't forget to give this video a like. Subscribe to the channel and ring the bell so you won't miss the next story lost forever. Tonight, we journey back to the very beginning. Not just the beginning of history, but the beginning of humanity itself. Darwin's theory of evolution. In the 19th century, a quiet Englishman stepped aboard a ship that would change the way we see ourselves. His name was Charles Darwin, and the voyage of the HMS Beagle would take him across oceans, islands, and landscapes where life thrived in astonishing variety. Darwin was not a man seeking to disprove religion, at least not initially. He was a keen observer, a naturalist captivated by the patterns and peculiarities of a living world. Yet, as he collected specimens, studied fossils, and walked the volcanic shores of the Galapagos Islands, a radical idea began to take shape in his mind, a theory that would challenge centuries of belief. It was the theory of evolution by natural selection. In simple terms, it proposed that life is not static. Species are not fixed. Instead, they change over generations, adapting to their environments in a relentless process of trial, error, and survival. Those best suited to their surroundings thrive, reproduce, and pass their traits on to the next generation. Those who cannot adapt fade into extinction. This idea was revolutionary. It suggested that humans were not separate, divinely created beings, but the result of the same forces shaping every other living creature on Earth. It was a concept that many found terrifying. If humans were merely part of the natural order, then what of our morality, our purpose, our very souls? Darwin's work, published in On the Origin of Species in 1859, sent shockwaves through the scientific community and the religious world. It offered evidence, meticulous observations, and a framework for understanding the vast diversity of life. Yet it left questions unanswered. How exactly did humans emerge? What made our species different from others? And why, if evolution was gradual, did some species vanish while others flourished? Natural selection offered part of the answer, but the story was far from complete. Fossils told fragments of the past, revealing creatures long extinct, hints of human ancestors scattered across continents. And with every discovery, the mystery deepened. Who were we really, and how did we come to dominate the planet in ways no other species had? Darwin's theory was a mirror, reflecting our origins without the grandeur of divine intention, yet filled with its own. Life, in its relentless persistence, had crafted us slowly, patiently, through millions of years. We were neither instant miracles nor accidental byproducts. We were the outcome of a long, intricate dance between chance and necessity, a story written in flesh and bone, in survival and adaptation. And yet, even as science illuminated the path, some questions lingered, shadows between the lines of fossils and fossils gaps. What about the missing links? What about the traits that seem to appear suddenly, without clear predecessors? Evolution could explain much, but the full tapestry of human creation was still far from complete. Creation by divine hands, the Bible. Among the most influential stories of creation lies within the pages of the Bible, a book that shaped entire civilizations and defined how billions of people see the world. In the book of Genesis, the creation of man is described not as an accident of nature, but as an act of deliberate intention. God forms Adam from the dust of the ground, breathes into his nostrils the breath of life, and Adam becomes a living being. Unlike the stars or the animals, Adam is not simply made, he is given the very breath of God, a spark of the divine itself. Soon after, woman named Eve is created, fashioned from Adam's rib, to be a companion and equal. Together, they are placed in the Garden of Eden, paradise untouched by sin or suffering. Here, the Bible tells us humanity began. But this story is more than myth or legend. It is a narrative of meaning. Adam and Eve were not only the first humans, they were symbols. They represented innocence, freedom, and choice. They walked with God in the cool of the evening. They had everything, yet they also had a test. Do not eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Of course, as the story goes, temptation proved irresistible. Eve ate, then Adam followed, and in that moment humanity fell. The first man and woman were cast out of Eden, forever separated from paradise, condemned to labor, to suffer, and eventually to die. This story has been told and retold for thousands of years, across continents, languages, and generations. And while many take it literally, others see it as metaphor, a way of explaining why humans struggle, why we feel guilt, why we search endlessly for meaning. Whether you see Adam and Eve as history or as allegory, one thing is certain. This story has shaped the way humanity sees itself. We are not just creatures, we are beings with moral responsibility. We are capable of greatness, but also of failure. The Bible's creation story tells us that we are not random. We are chosen, unique, and placed on earth with a purpose. Human evolution. Long before written history, before cities, before kingdoms and empires, humanity was already on its journey. And like any story, it begins not with one, but with many beginnings, ancient ancestors whose lives were written in bones, stones, and the marks they left behind. The story of human evolution stretches back millions of years. The earliest hominins, such as Australopithecus, walked upright in the savannas of Africa, learning to survive in a world dominated by predators and harsh climates. They were small, resourceful, and remarkably resilient, pioneers of adaptation. From them emerged Homo habilis, aptly named handy man, for the simple stone tools they used to cut, scrape, and hunt. These tools marked a turning point. For the first time, humans began shaping their environment rather than merely responding to it. A sharp flint stone could open the door to new diets, new survival strategies, and new ways of thinking. Then came Homo erectus, taller, stronger, and more social. They mastered fire, a discovery that changed everything. Fire provided warmth, protection, and the ability to cook food, unlocking new nutrients that fueled larger brains. It became a gathering point, a place of storytelling, and the first step toward culture as we know it. But evolution is rarely a straight line. Alongside our ancestors lived Neanderthals, close cousins who thrived in Europe and parts of Asia. Stocky and strong, they survived ice ages and hunted massive beasts, yet eventually they vanished. Why? Was it competition with Homo sapiens? Climate change? Disease? The answer remains a mystery, one of the many shadows in the story of human creation. Then came Homo sapiens, our species. Not the first humans, but the ones who would endure, migrate, and dominate the planet. They were the artists, the inventors, the dreamers. They painted on cave walls, carved symbols in bone, and developed language, allowing knowledge to pass from one generation to the next. Each new discovery, each new tool, each new song was a small victory over the chaos of the world, a step towards civilization. And yet, even with all this evidence, gaps remain. Fossils that should connect species are missing. Certain traits seem to appear suddenly. Why did humans develop complex language so rapidly? Why did abstract thinking arise only in Homo sapiens? Each discovery answers some questions, but opens new ones. The story of human evolution is not just about survival. It is about creativity, adaptation, and the rise of consciousness. It is about how fragile beings millions of years ago laid the foundations for technology, culture, morality, and everything that makes us distinctly human. Some of these milestones, fire, language, art, are more than mere tools or skills. They are signs of a mind awakening, a consciousness aware of itself, capable of wonder, imagination, and curiosity. Evolution tells us that we are not separate from nature. We are its product, molded by time, chance, and survival. But it also hints at something greater, a journey that began millions of years ago and continues with each new discovery, each new insight into who we are and where we come from. The Voynich manuscript. Even as science uncovered the paths of our evolution, some mysteries remained hidden, waiting centuries for anyone to notice. One of the most enigmatic of these is the Voynich manuscript, a book that has baffled scholars, cryptographers, and historians for over 500 years. Discovered in the early 20th century by Wilfrid Voynich, this manuscript is written in a language no one has been able to decode. Its pages are filled with strange symbols, botanical drawings of plants unknown to science, charts of the stars, and illustrations of human figures engaged in activities that remain a puzzle to this day. The manuscript defies logic. It's as if the book was written for eyes that no longer exist, or by a mind whose understanding of the world differs from ours. Some suggest it is a sophisticated hoax. Others propose that it contains lost knowledge, recipes, remedies, or even a hidden record of human origins. If this story has sparked your curiosity, press like to show your support. Subscribe to Stories Lost Forever so no mystery ever escapes you. And ring the bell to be the first to uncover the next story that history tried to hide.